The alien exploration fleet entered the star system without fear. They had done this many times before. The fleet belonged to the Krell Union, a powerful civilization that had explored hundreds of systems. First contact missions were normal for them. Most species reacted the same way. Confusion first, then curiosity, then fear. This system was marked as quiet. No active wars. No major defenses. Only one developing species. Humans. The Krell fleet slowed as they crossed the system's outer boundary. Commander Threx stood on the main bridge. He was calm, experienced. He had commanded first contact missions for over 50 cycles. "Begin standard scan," he said. The scanners activated. At first, everything looked normal. Stars, asteroids, dust clouds. Then the numbers changed. A junior scanner officer tilted his head. "Commander, I am seeing something strange." Threx did not react. "Strange readings happen often." "Explain," he said. The officer swallowed. "Mass readings, they are too high." "How high?" Threx asked. The officer checked again. His hands moved faster now. "Sir, I believe the scanner is wrong." Threx stepped closer. Scanners are never wrong. They are only misunderstood. The officer took a breath. "The objects ahead, they have the mass of small moons." The bridge went quiet. "That is not possible," Threx said slowly. "Show me." The main screen changed. Dark shapes appeared in the distance. At first, they looked like shadows. Long silent. Still, no bright lights. No glowing symbols. No welcoming signals. Just massive shapes floating in space. "What are they?" Threx asked. The scanner officer shook his head. "Unknown. They do not match any known design." Another officer spoke. "Energy readings are active but controlled." "How controlled?" Threx asked. "They are not leaking power," the officer replied. "Everything is contained, perfectly balanced." That made Threx uneasy. Powerful ships usually showed their power. These ships hid it. "Zoom in," Threx ordered. The image sharpened. The bridge officer stared. The ships were enormous. Long armored hulls. Hard edges. No decoration. They were not beautiful. They were built for one reason only. War. "Identify them," Threx said. The AI responded instantly. "No match found. Asterisk, asterisk. Run weapon analysis." The scanner paused, then paused again. The AI spoke with a rare delay. "Warning. Weapon systems detected beyond standard parameters." The junior officer whispered. "Beyond parameters?" Threx frowned. "Explain." A chill moved across the bridge. "But they are not aiming," an officer said. Threx looked at the display. The human warships were not moving, not advancing, not threatening. They were simply there, watching. "How many?" Threx asked. The scanner officer checked again. "Sir, we are still counting." Still counting. That was never a good sign. "Give me an estimate." The officer hesitated. "At least 12. Possibly more hidden behind the planet. 12 moon-mass warships. In one system. For a developing species." "This makes no sense," Threx muttered. "Human technology was known. Primitive compared to the Krell. Or so the record said." "These ships are not primitive," said the science officer quietly. Threx nodded. "No, they are not." "Commander," the scanner officer said again, voice shaking. "There is something else." Threx turned. "Speak." "The armor density. It is layered. Adaptive. Reactive." Threx felt something he had not felt in many cycles. Unease. "What does that mean?" he asked. The officer answered carefully. "It means these ships are designed to survive direct hits. Repeated hits." "And still fight," the weapons officer added. Silence returned. Threx studied the ships. "They are not showing weapons," he said. "Yes," the weapons officer replied. "But they do not need to." That was worse. "Are they aware of us?" Threx asked. The scanner officer nodded slowly. "Yes, Commander. They detected us the moment we entered the system." "How do you know?" The officer pointed at the screen. A single small light activated on one of the human ships. Then another. Then all of them. Not weapons. Sensors. Focused directly on the Krell fleet. "They are scanning us now," the officer whispered. Threx straightened. "Remain calm," he said. "This is first contact." But his voice lacked confidence. The science officer spoke again. "Commander, I believe these ships were not built for diplomacy." Threx knew that already. "Then why are they here?" he asked. The officer answered after a pause. "They're guarding something." The bridge fell silent again. A signal alert sounded. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer said, "from the human fleet." Threx took a slow breath. On screen, the signal was clear. No static. No interference. A calm human voice filled the bridge. "Unknown vessels. You have entered protected space. This is a human defense fleet. Please identify yourselves." The voice was steady. Polite. That scared Threx more than a threat. "They are not afraid," he realized. He replied with formal protocol. "We are the Krell Union Exploration Fleet. We come in peace." There was a short pause. Then the human voice returned. "Peace is acceptable. Please maintain your current position." The human ships did not move, but the scanners changed again. "Commander," the scanner officer whispered. "What now?" Threx asked. "They have increased power slightly." "How slightly?" "Enough to remind us," the officer said, "that they could end us instantly." Threx stared at the screen. The impossible reading finally made sense. These warships were not built to scare aliens. They were built because humans had once faced something far worse and survived. The bridge of the Krell flagship was quiet. Too quiet. Commander Threx stood still, staring at the image of the human warships. They had not moved since the transmission ended. No weapons deployed. No formations changed. They simply waited. "Begin full analysis," Threx said calmly. "Every system. Every signal." The officers moved at once. The scanner teams worked in silence, their eyes fixed on data streams that refused to behave normally. Numbers climbed where they should not. Graphs flattened where they should spike. "This is impossible," the science officer muttered. Threx turned. "Explain." "The ships," the officer said, choosing his words carefully. "They are not optimized for speed or elegance. They are optimized for endurance." "Endurance against what?" Threx asked. The officer hesitated. "Against everything." The weapons officer leaned forward. "Commander, I have completed the initial weapon scan." "And?" Threx asked. "And I wish I had not." Threx nodded slowly. "Proceed." "Their primary weapons are not visible," the officer said. "They are internal, buried deep inside the hull." "That is common," Threx replied. "Yes," the officer agreed, "but not like this. These weapons are layered behind armor, behind shields, behind redundant systems." Redundant systems meant one thing. Failure was expected. "Meaning?" Threx asked. "Meaning they expect to be hit," the officer said. "Often." The bridge fell silent again. The science officer added, "Their secondary weapons are even worse." "Worse how?" Threx asked. "They are everywhere," the officer replied. "Small, hidden, distributed across the ship. No single weak point." The Krell fleet doctrine focused on disabling enemy systems quickly. Strike the power core. Disable the bridge. End the fight. Human warships had no obvious end. "They are built to keep fighting even while dying," the science officer said softly. That sentence stayed in the air. Threx looked back at the screen. The human ships did not glow with pride or arrogance. They did not display banners or symbols. They were plain, dark, heavy. "They are not showing strength," Threx said slowly. "They are hiding it." "Yes," the science officer replied, as if strength is normal to them. The scanner officer raised a hand. "Commander, there is something else." Threx nodded. "Speak." "The ships are sharing data," the officer said, "between themselves. That is normal fleet coordination." Threx said, "Yes," the officer replied, "but they are also sharing it with empty space." Threx frowned. Explain. There are no signals leaving the system, the officer said. But the data flow suggests they are prepared to send it instantly. To where? Threx asked. The officer swallowed. Somewhere very far away. The meaning was clear. Reinforcements. Not if. When. Commander, the communications officer said, we are receiving another message. Threx straightened. On screen, the same calm human voice spoke again. Krell Union Fleet. Our scans show elevated stress responses among your crew. This is unnecessary. We have no hostile intent. Threx felt a strange emotion. Embarrassment. They knew. They are reading our biosignals, the science officer whispered. They are very good at observation, Threx replied. He answered the message carefully. Your presence is unexpected. Your ships exceed our expectations. There was a pause. Then the human voice replied. Expectations are often based on outdated information. That was not a threat, but it felt like a warning. The scanners suddenly shifted again. Commander, the scanner officer said quietly, they are reducing power. Threx blinked. Reducing? Yes. Shields down by 2%. Weapons charging slowed. The bridge officers exchanged looks. They are making themselves weaker, someone whispered. No, Threx said. They are making us comfortable. The science officer nodded. That is more frightening. Threx ordered deeper analysis. Access historical human data, he said. Wars, conflicts, losses. The data appeared, and the bridge went silent once more. Human history was violent, not chaotic, not reckless, focused. Humans fought wars that lasted generations. They faced enemies that did not surrender, enemies that attacked civilians, enemies that adapted quickly. They learned the hard way, the science officer said. Learned what? Threx asked. That mercy without strength invites extinction. The weapons officer looked disturbed. Commander, these ships are not designed to win battles. Threx turned. Then what are they designed for? To make sure the battle never reaches humanity again, the officer replied. A pause followed. Commander, the scanner officer said, I have found something buried in the ship design. Show me. The screen zoomed into the human hull. Layer after layer of armor. Shock absorption systems. Self-repair mechanisms. These ships can take damage and heal while fighting, the officer explained. That is not efficient, Threx said. It is not meant to be, the officer replied. It is meant to be unstoppable. The science officer added, their power cores are also excessive. How excessive? Threx asked. They can power the ship, its weapons, and still supply an entire colony. Threx slowly exhaled. Why would warships need that much power? He asked. The answer came quietly. So they never need to choose between survival and destruction. Another message arrived. The human voice spoke again. Krell Union Fleet, please understand. These vessels are defensive in nature. They exist to ensure peace remains possible. Threx almost laughed. Almost. These are defensive ships? The weapons officer whispered. Yes, Threx replied. Which means humanity has offensive ships we are not seeing. That thought settled heavily. The analysis was complete. The conclusion was unavoidable. Human warships were not built to intimidate aliens. They were built to face nightmares. Threx prepared his report. His final note was short. Humanity does not fear first contact. Humanity fears what happens if they fail it. As the Krell fleet held position, one truth became clear. Fear did not come from aggression. It came from understanding. And the Krell Union now understood humanity just enough to be afraid. The silence lasted too long. Commander Threx stood on the bridge, watching the human warships. After the last message, nothing had happened. No movement. No new signals. No threats. That silence felt heavier than noise. Are they still scanning us? Threx asked. Yes, Commander, the scanner officer replied, but at a very low intensity. Low, Threx repeated. Yes, almost casual. That worried him. Casual attention from such powerful ships meant one thing. They were confident. The Krell fleet remained in formation, engines idle, weapons cold. "Maintain all systems," Threx ordered. "No sudden actions." The officers obeyed. Minutes passed. Then something changed. "Commander," the scanner officer said, voice tight. "One of the human ships is moving." Threx leaned forward. "Show me." On the main screen, a single human warship slowly separated from the formation. It did not rush. It did not power up weapons. It drifted forward, calm and steady. "They are breaking formation," the weapons officer said. "Yes," Threx replied, "but not to attack." The ship moved until it was closer to the Krell fleet than the others, still at a safe distance, still quiet. "Is it targeting us?" Threx asked. "No," the scanner officer said. "Weapons remain inactive." "Then why send one ship?" the science officer asked. Threx thought for a moment. "They want us to see it," he said. "See what?" the officer asked. "Everything." The human ship sent a signal. Not words, not images, not threats, just data. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer said. "It is massive." "Filter it," Threx ordered. The data stream slowed, adjusted to Krell systems. And then the bridge filled with information. Ship schematics, power readings, weapon outlines. "They are showing us their ship," the science officer whispered. Threx narrowed his eyes. "Why would they do that?" "To remove fear," the officer replied, "or to replace it with something worse." The Krell officers studied the data. The ship was older than expected. Its design was simple, brutal, efficient. "This is not their newest ship," the weapons officer said. "How do you know?" Threx asked. "Because it has scars," the officer replied. The screen zoomed in. Marks along the hull. Repaired damage. Deep structural burns. "This ship has been in combat," the science officer said. "Heavy combat." "Against who?" someone asked. There was no answer. The data continued. Redundant bridges. Backup command nodes. Manual controls layer beneath automation. "They expect systems to fail," Threx said. "Yes," the science officer replied. "And they expect people to keep fighting anyway." The human ship sent another short signal. This time, words. "This vessel is HDS Resolute. It is a standard defense cruiser. It has served for 43 human years." The bridge went quiet. 43 years. The Krell replaced warships after 10. What does standard mean to humans? Threx asked quietly. The human voice continued. "We share this data, so you understand our intent. We do not seek conflict, but we do not fear it." That sentence struck deep. Fear was universal. "Except here," the Krell science officer whispered. "They are not threatening us." "No," Threx agreed. "They are explaining themselves." The Resolute drifted slightly closer. Not enough to be aggressive. Enough to be clear. "Commander," the scanner officer said, "they are opening internal systems." Threx's eyes widened. "Weapons?" "No," the officer replied. "Crew areas." The screen showed interior images. Humans moving calmly. No panic. No raised voices. Crew members worked at stations. Some drank liquids. Others smiled. "They are relaxed," the science officer said. "During first contact," Threx added. That was unheard of. The human voice spoke again. "Our crews are trained to remain calm in all situations. Fear causes mistakes. We do not allow mistakes." The words were simple. The meaning was not. Threx responded carefully. "You expose much by sharing this." The reply came instantly. "Yes, because hiding it would change nothing." That was confidence, pure and unshaken. Suddenly, the data stream stopped. The human ship powered down some systems. "They are closing themselves again," the scanner officer said. "Why?" Threx asked. "They have said what they wanted to say," the officer replied. The Resolute slowly returned to formation. The human fleet was whole again, silent, waiting. Threx felt a strange pressure in his chest. This was not diplomacy as he understood it. This was something else. They did not show us everything, the weapons officer said. No, Threx agreed. They showed us what they consider normal. That thought was terrifying. Another message arrived. Short, final. Krell Union Fleet, you are welcome to remain at your current position. We will not interfere. Any hostile action will be met with immediate response. No threats, just facts. The communications channel closed. The Krell bridge remained silent. They trust us, the science officer said. No, Threx replied. They are prepared for us. He looked at the stars beyond the screen. Human warships remained still. But now, the Krell understood something new. The silence was not uncertainty. It was readiness. The silent message was clear. Humanity did not need to shout, did not need to threaten, did not need to prove anything. They were already ready. And for the first time since entering the system, Commander Threx felt true fear. Not fear of death. Fear of what kind of universe creates a species like this. The Krell fleet remained in place. No one suggested moving. No one suggested leaving. Commander Threx stood at the center of the bridge, arms behind his back, staring at the stars beyond the human warships. Begin deep historical research, he said. Everything we have on humanity. No filters. The science team hesitated. Commander, the chief scientist said carefully, much of human history is violent. Threx did not look away from the screen. That is exactly why I want it. The data began to flow. At first, it looked normal. Early human wars, primitive weapons, short conflicts. But then the scale changed. The wars became larger, longer, more destructive. They fought each other, the science officer said, repeatedly. Yes, Threx replied, and survived. The data continued. Global wars, planet-wide destruction, entire cities erased. Yet humanity did not collapse. They rebuild very fast, an officer noted. They have to, Threx said, or they would not exist. Then the data shifted. Humanity left its home world. The first colonies were small, weak, and then came the first external threats. Unknown species, unknown machines, unknown forces. The records became fragmented. This section is heavily restricted, the science officer said, even among human archives. Access what you can, Threx ordered. What they found was enough. Human colonies attacked without warning. Communication lost. Entire populations gone. No negotiations. No surrender. They were hunted, the science officer whispered. Threx nodded slowly. They did not meet the galaxy with peace, he said. They met it with extinction. The records showed humanity's response. At first, panic, then rage, then focus. They stopped trying to understand, the weapons officer said. They started trying to survive. Human ship designs changed. Old vessels were sleek, exploration focused, lightly armed. Then the monsters appeared. Ships built with thick armor, redundant systems, weapons designed to keep firing even when damaged. These are not warships, the science officer said quietly. These are lifeboats that fight back. The bridge fell silent. The truth was clear now. Human warships were not created to conquer. They were created because humanity learned a simple lesson. The universe does not care. They do not trust peace, Threx said. No, the science officer replied. They prepare for when peace fails. Another data fragment appeared. A recorded human statement, old and damaged. We will never be caught helpless again. The words were simple. The meaning was heavy. The Krell weapons officer spoke next. Commander, the enemies humans faced. He stopped. Continue, Threx said. They were stronger than humans, the officer finished. Faster, more advanced. And humanity won? Threx asked. The officer nodded slowly. Yes, but not quickly. The wars lasted decades. Humans lost billions. But they adapted. They learned to fight while bleeding, the science officer said. The bridge crew understood now. Human warships were not symbols of pride. They were scars made of metal. "Commander," the communications officer said softly, "incoming message from a human fleet." Threx turned. On screen, the familiar calm human voice returned. "Krell Union Fleet, we detect increased data access on your networks. You are learning about us." Threx did not deny it. "Yes," he replied. "We are." There was a pause. Then the human voice spoke again. "Then you understand why our defenses exist." Threx hesitated. "Yes," he said finally. "We do." Another pause. "Good," the human said. "Then you also understand why we keep them active." That sentence changed everything. "They are not relaxed," the weapons officer whispered. "They are always ready." Threx turned to his officers. "This is not a show of force," he said. "This is a reminder." The science officer nodded. "They want us to carry this knowledge back to the galaxy." A warning. Humanity was not hiding. Humanity was standing in the open and daring the universe to try again. Threx composed his response. "We understand your position," he said. "We have no hostile intent." The reply came quickly. "Intent changes," the human voice said. "Preparation does not." The channel closed. The bridge remained silent. Threx looked once more at the human warships. They did not chase threats. They waited for them. That was worse. He began writing his official report. Humanity is not aggressive. Humanity is experienced. Their warships are not weapons of conquest. They are answers to questions the galaxy has not asked yet. The truth had been revealed. Humanity did not build monsters because they wanted to rule. They built monsters because once they almost died, and they refused to let that happen again. The Krell fleet did not leave immediately. Commander Threx knew that what they had learned could not stay on one bridge, on one ship, in one system. This truth was too large. It belonged to the galaxy now. "Prepare the full report," Threx said. "Send it to the High Council." "All of it?" The science officer hesitated. "All of it, Commander?" "Yes," Threx replied. "If we hide this, someone else will discover it the hard way." The data package was massive. Human history, ship designs, combat records, first contact recordings. Most important of all, the calm human voice. The report traveled faster than any ship, across trade routes, across borders, across old rival territories. And everywhere it arrived, the reaction was the same: silence. On the Krell homeworld, the High Council gathered in emergency session. Leaders who had not shared a room in decades now sat together. The report played. No commentary, no interpretation, just facts. When the final message ended, no one spoke. "They built these ships because they had to," one council member finally said. "Yes," another replied. "And they kept them active." Fear spread quietly. Not panic, not chaos. Respectful fear. Other civilizations received the report soon after. The Valari Combined paused all border expansions near human space. The Sorn Empire canceled a planned military exercise. The Taith Assembly reclassified humanity from developing to unpredictable. Everywhere calculations changed. "They are defensive," some argued. "They are dangerous," others replied. Both were true. A respected galactic analyst summarized it best. Humanity is not a threat. Humanity is a reminder. Rumors spread next. Stories changed as they traveled. Some said the human ships could destroy fleets alone. Some claimed they had weapons that broke stars. Others said humanity was hiding something far worse. The truth did not matter anymore. Perception did. Human space became quiet. Not because humans demanded it, because no one wanted to test them. Commander Threx watched the reactions from his bridge. "They are afraid," the science officer said. "Yes," Threx replied, "but not of death." "Then of what?" the officer asked. "Of learning too late," Threx answered. The Krell fleet prepared to leave. Before departure, a final message arrived from a human defense fleet. "Krell Union vessels, your data transmission has been detected. We understand." Threx froze. "They know we sent it," the communications officer whispered. "Yes," Threx said. And they allowed it. He replied carefully. We believe the galaxy should understand you. The response came after a short pause. Understanding reduces mistakes. Mistakes cause wars. No anger. No warning. Just logic. As the Krell fleet powered up engines, the science officer spoke softly. They could have stopped us from sharing this. Yes, Threx replied. They chose not to. That choice changed everything. Across the galaxy, policies shifted. Defense budgets increased. Exploration fleets gained escorts. Peace treaties were reviewed. Humanity had not fired a single shot, yet military planners everywhere lost sleep. On a distant world, a young strategist studied the report late into the night. They don't threaten, he said to himself. They prepare. And preparation, he realized, was more dangerous than aggression. Meanwhile, on human worlds, life continued normally. Cities glowed at night. Children played. Ships launched for trade, not war. The contrast confused many alien observers. How can a species capable of this live so calmly? They asked. The answer was simple. They had already faced their nightmares. Commander Threx prepared his final statement for the Council. Humanity should not be isolated. They should be respected, not because they demand it, but because they earned it. The report concluded with a warning. If humanity ever goes silent, that is when the galaxy should be afraid. The Krell fleet exited the system. Human warships did not follow. They did not watch. They simply remained, guarding, waiting. As the stars stretched into lines and the fleet jumped to faster than light, Commander Threx closed his eyes. First contact had ended without violence. Yet the galaxy would never be the same. Fear had traveled faster than light, and it carried a simple message. Humanity survives. The Krell fleet returned home. The journey felt longer than usual. Commander Threx stood alone in his private chamber, replaying the encounter in his mind. The silence of the human warship stayed with him more than any battle ever had. They had not chased. They had not threatened. They had not demanded. They had simply existed. And that existence had changed the galaxy. When the fleet arrived at Krell space, Threx was summoned immediately. The High Council chamber was full. Leaders, scientists, and military commanders waited for him. Threx did not bow deeply. He did not need to. Begin, the High Speaker said. Threx activated the final report. This is not a warning, he said calmly. It is a lesson. The council listened as he spoke. He described the ships again. The silence, the calm voices, the hidden strength. They are not preparing for war, Threx said. They are prepared for survival. A council member raised a hand. Can we defeat them? Threx did not answer quickly. That is the wrong question, he said at last. The right question is, what would it cost? No one spoke. Threx continued. Humanity does not seek enemies, but they do not fear them either. They have already faced extinction and learned from it. Another council member leaned forward. Why show us their strength? Threx nodded. So we would never have to see it used. The meeting ended in silence. Across the galaxy, similar meetings happened. Borders were redrawn. Old rivalries cooled. Some wars never started. Humanity had not joined the galactic stage with speeches or fleets. They joined with presence. Back in human space, the defense fleet remained at its post. The Resolute drifted quietly, systems humming at low power. Its crew worked normal shifts. Some laughed, some rested, some drank coffee. Captain Elena Ward watched the stars from a bridge. Any changes? She asked. No, Captain, her officer replied. All quiet. Elena nodded. That was how it should be. Human history had taught one rule above all others. Peace is protected, not promised. A junior officer spoke hesitantly. Captain, do you think they understand us now? Elena smiled slightly. They understand enough, she said. The rest, they don't need to. The human fleet did not celebrate. They never did. Their job was not victory. It was prevention. Weeks passed, then months. The galaxy adjusted. Trade ships began to pass near human space again. Carefully, respectfully, exploration fleets sent greetings before entering nearby systems. No one tested the line. Commander Threx watched these changes from afar. He realized something important. Fear had faded. What remained was clarity. Humanity was not strong because of its ships. The ships were strong because of humanity. A young Krell cadet once asked Threx a question. "Commander, why do humans scare the galaxy so much?" Threx thought for a moment before answering. "Because they remember," he said. "They remember what happens when you are not ready." The cadet nodded, still confused. Threx added, "And because they choose restraint, even when they do not have to." That was the final realization. Humanity endured not because it loved war, but because it refused to be helpless again. The story ended with a final entry in the Krell archives. Human warships do not announce doom. They announce survival, and any species that mistakes the two will not get a second chance. Far away, the human fleet remains silent, not waiting for enemies, waiting so enemies never come.